Good evening. Thank you everybody for joining to Ask the Experts Gang Prevention Workshop. We're going to start with introducing our panelists and our speakers. We have Liz Lopez, Angel Ortiz, Joseph Lopez, and Dustin Nelson. Liz was born and raised in the city of Oceanside. At the age of 13, she became aware of the gang culture and associated with a specific group, not as a gang member, but as an associate. The gang culture was a norm growing up. At the age of 19, she moved in with who is now her husband, and the gang life was in full effect as he was an active gang member. Fast forward to 2010, her partner was sentenced to 6 years in prison, and that is where her life changed for good. They both realized that the gang life was not the life they wanted and knew they needed to change. While in prison, her partner worked on himself and she worked on herself out here. Now she loves to work with the youth who want to glorify the gang life, share the struggles and myths about the gang life, and to bring hope to those that believe there's no way out. Angel Ortiz was born in Nieves, Oaxaca in 1997. He was brought to the U.S. at the age of 2 and raised in the Crown Heights neighborhood. He lost many brothers growing up, some to drugs and some to the prison system, and some are resting in the heavens above. In 2015, he graduated with honors from Oceanside High School, and 4 years later, in 2019, he graduated from the University of California, Santa Cruz with a double major in politics and legal studies. He's the first homeboy from the neighborhood to attend a 4-year university straight out of high school and graduate. Angel Ortiz, and he is a case manager with the Strive for Success program at North County Lifeline. We have Joseph Lopez. He is our guest speaker. He was born in Texas and raised in the city of Oceanside. He joined the gang life at the age of 13, served 3 years in the juvenile court system and 15 in prison. Joseph left the gang life in 2013. He is now a community mentor with the Resilience program. He also works for the Alternate Public Defender's Office to work with youth in juvenile hall. And we have Deputy Dustin Nelson. He was born and raised in North County. He has served in the San Diego County Sheriff's Department since 2006. During his uniformed career in San Marcos, Dustin worked assignments in patrol, traffic, training, and numerous duties within the community policing unit, including human trafficking, graffiti, gangs, homeless outreach, and juvenile programs. In 2014, Dustin co-founded the Sheriff's Respect Project, a mentoring program serving high-risk and justice-involved youth in North County. This award-winning program offers encouraging personal relationships with law enforcement officials, community volunteers, as well as unique opportunities and wraparound services to both students and their families. By offering trauma-informed and culturally sensitive services, Respect Project aims to equip each student with the tools necessary to make safe and positive choices. We are going to send you a poll. And the question is, are you aware of any gang activity in your neighborhood or community? Please select one. Thank you, everybody. Looks like we got 67% that say yes, and 22 no, and 11 not sure. Thank you all for participating. Now I'm going to hand it over to Liz Lopez to start off the presentation.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending. So we're going to start off with defining what is a gang. So under Penal Code 28622F is a criminal street gang is defined as an ongoing organization of 3 or more persons with a common name or identifying mark or symbol, having as one of its primary activities to commission of certain crimes. whose members individually or collectively engage in criminal activity. And that is the definition. So penal code is basically coming from the law book. That is what is the definition for gang. What documentation means. On the Attorney General Annual Report on California Gangs for the year 2019, it was reported that in the County of San Diego, there was 2,813 active documented gang members. Law enforcement kept records and shared information with other law enforcement agencies on who they believe are members, associates, or affiliates of criminal gangs. In California, this information is in a shared gang database called California Gang. Being placed in CalGang is often referred to as being documented. What documentation means. Affiliating with a documented gang member and frequenting a gang area are the most commonly cited reasons for adding someone to CalGang in San Diego County. In Oceanside, roughly 9 out of every 10 people added to the database are given reasons of affiliating and frequenting. Reasons why youth join a gang. Some of them are born into the gang, meaning family members, parents are already part of the gang. Depression, loneliness, we do have a lot of either youth or family members that do get depressed and end up finding some type of comfort within the gang. Family problems, sometimes within the home, there's problems. There's something going on, so they go out to the streets and find that comfort again within the gang. Their friends are already part of a gang. So those are some of the reasons of why youth join a gang. Signs of being in a gang. Some signs of being in a gang are, for example, tags, nicknames on walls, school book, rival territory. So for example, some of the youth like to call each other, give each other nicknames within that gang. They wear clothing that are only certain colors or numbers, which will represent the specific gang that they're affiliated with. Hand signals representing a specific area. So if you see some certain gangs, they all have their own hand signal to represent where it is that they're from. Tattoos that are certain numbers, street names, and or nicknames. So you'll see tattoos that are either certain numbers, certain nicknames, and again, the way that they talk. So here's a picture. As you can see, they have tattoos. They are throwing up certain gang signs to basically identify and associate themselves with a specific gang. Gangs around our community. So here are some gangs that you will see that are around our community. For example, in Oceanside, as you can see, there is an extended amount of gangs. For example, we have Barrio Pozole, which is down by the coast. Next to that would be Center Street, which is another gang that's down by the coast as well. Then more inland, we have Barrio Mesa Locos. And as you can see under each of these, it shows you what you will see on the like taggings, the acronyms of how it is that they will represent their gang. So for example, if you see Barrio Pozole, they represent themselves by 1620, P-Town, P-Boys. Then we have Center Street right under that. Calle Central is another name, how they represent themselves. And then you'll see the acronyms right under that, which those are some taggings that you will see that they will be tagging on the wall. CST, Central. Then we go down to Barrio Mesa Locos. And again, right under that, you will see what it is that they identify with. Deep Valley Bloods, also known as DVB, Gangster Disciples, Mid Valley Riders, and Tri-City Thunder Hills. Those are all gangs in the city of Oceanside. Then we move to the city of Vista. We have Vista Homeboys, and then right under that in the city of Vista, it's just Vista Homeboys. And you'll see right under that their tagging would be VHB 228. Then we have Encinitas, Solana Beach, and Carlsbad. Here are some more gangs around our community as we're looking at San Diego, North County. We have San Marcos. In San Marcos, there is San Marcos Wolfpack, San Marcos Ghost Town, and then Barrio South Los. And those are the 3 gangs that are considered to be in the city of San Marcos. Right under that, we have Escondido. Escondido has Escondido Diablos, and then Barrio Westside Gang. And then right under that, we'll go to Fallbrook, which is more inland, Barrio Fallbrook.
All right, so we are going to give you all another poll. So we'll go ahead and put that up, and if you can take a couple seconds and answer the question. In North County, gangs are only active in Oceanside, Vista, and San Marcos. True or false? Please select one. Great, thank you. Looks like we got 86% false and 14% true. Thanks for answering, everybody.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about some graffiti crews around our community. So graffiti crews, yes.
I can take on the rest of it.
Sure, go
That's cool. I'm sorry. All right, so we're gonna introduce like the graffiti crews around our community. So you know, some of the graffiti crews also referred to as like tagging crews. You know, at times they can call themselves like graffers, taggers, or mobbers. Some of the common things with like the individuals that are involved in graffiti crews is that they tend to associate with local gangs, or they can also have like problems with the local gangs, because since like you know that they sometimes they can be seen as like in trying to invade, you know, the turfs of other gangs. You know, that's where like problems you know, start to arise, especially if they're hitting up around the neighborhood they're not supposed to. So that's when like a lot of problems go on between like the tagging crews and like the gangs. I know like a lot of those problems have been like arising in the Escondido area, which you know, I know recently like earlier this year, there was like a group of youth that were arrested for like a murder, which kind of like got several graffiti crews in Escondido, in the city of Escondido, documented as gangs under the gang unit. You know, following from that, some crews operate similar to gangs, you know, committing criminal offenses. You know, even the process of hanging out, like like when it comes to like gangs, a lot of individuals get jumped in. It says that like, you know, it's similar to, you know, some graffiti crews, they require like their members not only to like hit up, which is like tag, you know, but to also get like jumped in to hang out with them as well. Cool. Some of the warning signs that come with like, you know, just to see if like any youth are involved, you know, in graffiti crews, that can help parents identify their children, you know, belong to a tagging crew. Books and homework, look for tag names on the covers of their books and their homework. Possession of markers and spray paint. Also paint on their hand and clothes. Latex gloves or just fingertips of gloves used to keep the paint residue off their hands, and like spray can tips in their pockets. You know, each tip gives like a different spray effect. You know, so some individuals carry like a variety of tips. You know, I know a lot of youth, you know, that are involved in like, you know, the or graffiti scene, you know, they tend to leave late at night because that's when like it's less like, you know, obvious, you know, for them to get seen, like, you know, hit up. So, you know, a lot of times, you know, youth are, you know, going out at night and, you know, to go hit up and stuff. Okay. Ways that you can help youth stay away from gangs, is to develop a anti-gang concept, to help them stay away from alcohol and drug-free, to connect them to community resources, to maintain like positive goal setting and high standards, to provide enrichment, to teach accountability and forgiveness, to ensure school success, to foster self-respect. And I feel like the last one is like very important, to communicate with your child. I feel like a lot of times, you know, that communication happens at home, whether like, you know, like, you know, your child's like involvement, their friend groups, or like who they're hanging out with, either in school or outside of school. You know, just having that communication, I feel like that's like really important. Next is the effects of COVID, on individuals, that are on, probation, or house arrest. I know due to COVID, like, there's been like less checkups, you know, on those youth, and specifically, so, you know, like at the moment, youth aren't being taken into juvenile hall, nor are they being cited into court for violations, unless it's a serious offense. Also, youth aren't being drug tested. You know, so many youth, you know, in this moment are ignoring their probation restrictions, because technically they can't be taken into juvenile hall, due to COVID-19, you know, and some of the restrictions. You know, the only thing that, you know, I kind of share with like the youth, that I personally work with, is that, you know, their infractions are noted, you know, by the probation officer every time that they're stopped, by law enforcement. You know, and the violations, you know, end up accumulating, and, you know, they could be, you know, cited back to court, you know, if it's like a serious, like, you know, offense. Okay. The next one is, on the Respect Project. This is like one of the community, resources that we have, here. It's in San Marcos. Actually, Officer Dustin, is like, was one of the founders of the Respect Project. So the Respect Project is like a character building and mentoring program designed for teenage youth. Currently, they're serving in the North County region. The Respect Project was developed in 2014, by the San Diego County, Sheriff's Department. The program is a 16-week commitment aiming to reduce juvenile delinquency, lower recidivism, and offer alternatives to street gangs, substance abuse, and a life trapped in the criminal justice system. The Respect Project offers decision-making skills, encouragement, and comprehensive resources, to students and their families. In addition, to weekly classes and mentoring, the Respect Project also partners, with healthy community groups, businesses, and faith-based organizations, to supplement and further enrich, their students' personal lives.
And just to add on to Respect Project, Dustin Nelson is one of our panelists who will be able to give you a little bit more information in regards to the Respect program in San Marcos.
Okay.
So we
One of the
have
other
here,
like, community part. Oh, go ahead.
so we have here the Resilience Program. The Resilience Program is a 6-month program, requiring each youth member to participate in at least 30 group meetings. The Resilience Program is a probation-based program. The youth would have to be on probation, have committed the crime in Oceanside, or lives in Oceanside to be able to participate in this program. The youth gets connected to a mentor. and then will be mentored by that individual. As you can see, some of the pictures on here are the mentors, and one of them is of a youth that participate in the program. And then our guest speaker today is part of the resilience program. So if you do have any more questions then, once he shares his testimony, you can ask any questions to him as well. Go ahead, Angel, I'll let you do this one.
Okay, the Strive for Success program, aka S4S, is a program that provides gang prevention and early intervention services with youth who are at risk of gang involvement and who are already beginning to associate with gangs. Lifeline Strive for Success program serves youth ages 10 to 17 and their families. We also serve individuals that are 18 that are still like continuing their schooling, you know, especially if they need like that extra support. Some of the program services that we offer are case management services, group services. Those groups, whether it be like the anger management and decision making courses, the positive prevention plus, you know, or like groups like seeking safety. Other things that we do provide are the gang prevention workshops, mentoring and counseling, whether it be like with myself, the mentoring, or with one of my coworkers, Nancy, as well as the counseling aspect of it. We have like a great team of team specialists and trainees, and also volunteers that are helping us, you know, with the youth. And then the last part is the field trips and the family outings that we provide for the youth.
And I think a good piece in regards to the services that are offered with S4S would be the field trips and family outing. We think it's really big to bring the family together to just spend some time together, get away from the routine of what's going on at home, be able to, when we do family outings, we'll do movie nights, we'll do, I don't know, paint night, we'll do different activities. And we do that basically to try to engage the family with the youth, to have a better relationship with each other, to know how to engage with each other, and again, to get that communication within the family.
The next slide is the contact for the S4S case managers as mentor. You know, my name is Angel Ortiz Salazar, and then my contact information is at the bottom. My email, my phone number, and then my agency cell phone number is also attached. It missed the 4, so it's 760-331-9144.
And then myself, Lisbeth Lopez, I am currently working alongside with Respect Project as a parent support. I live to support not just the youth, but the family as a whole, to better understand the myths and taboo of the gang culture. I'm currently working alongside with Respect Project, so Todd and Dustin, to provide the wraparound services to the families, providing workshops, resources to fulfill the need in the home. Lifeline provides an extended amount of services that can help families in need or looking for growth. If you guys have any questions or would like some referrals or resources in regards to preventing or intervention with gangs, feel free to either send me an email, and it's llopez@nclifeline.org, or my cell phone number is right under that.
I think before we have Joseph speak, we are going to do another poll. So after listening to the workshop, I know of at least one gang prevention intervention resource that is available in the community. Yes or no? Please select one. Yes, 100%. Great, thank you. And I think now we're gonna hand it over to Joseph Lopez. He's our guest speaker. He's gonna give his testimonial on his journey And if you have any questions, please feel free to send questions in the question option on your side of your panel on your screen, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions. If there's anything specific from any of the slides that you want to know more information about, please feel free to also reach out and get some more clarification if needed. I think the bottom line is we want everybody who's listening to this to kind of have a better idea and be aware, to be able to identify and know where there are resources. There's a lot of resources in the community, and hopefully you'll be able to either utilize it or give it to somebody that you know. So thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Joseph to say his testimonial. I think you're on mute, Joseph.
So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joseph Lopez, and I just want to say thank you to North County Lifeline. It is a privilege and honor to be on here to share my testimony. I was born in Corpus Christi, Texas. At the age of 3, my mother made a decision to come out here. She was with my biological father, and he was very abusive. You know, he sat there and broke her arm in 3 different places, opening and closing in a car door. It just pushed my mom to say, you know what, enough's enough. She moved out to Oceanside, and man, immediately, like, my best friend was killed. I was only 4 years old. So within a year of me moving out to Oceanside, you know, my best friend was killed. For many years, I held a lot of resentment towards my mom because on his birthday was the day that he was shot in his head with a sawed-off shotgun. That day, I was unable to go to his birthday party because I had got in trouble and I was grounded. So like I said, you know, I mean, I held a lot of resentment towards my mom. I blamed her, and I told her that it was her fault that little Paul had died. Now that I'm an adult and I realize, man, you know what, it could have been me. You know, immediately, my mom got me into sports. I started playing Pop Warner football. Did that for about 3.5 years. My last year, when I was 12, I was unable to make weight because they had, for certain age groups, you had to be a certain weight limit. And that year, I was unable to make weight. And the coach told me that I could sit on the sidelines and watch my team play until I lost the weight. At that point, I had pretty much given up already. And man, you know, gang members, I had been around gang members my whole life. My dad was a documented gang member. He ended up going to California Youth Authority at the age of 17 for a bank robbery. My grandpa ended up getting his throat slit with the drug deal that went bad. So it was in my environment. At the age of 13, I got jumped into my neighborhood. By the age of 14, I was already inside juvenile hall. The first case that I picked up at the age of 14 was a stabbing. It led me to go to juvenile hall for about 6 months, got released, went back to my neighborhood, didn't plan on changing, just continued to seek the gang lifestyle. Something that was catchy to me and made it attractive to want to be from the gang. Just always seeing gang members, you know what I mean, dressing with nice clothes, always seeing them with different females, always seeing them having vehicles and having things pushed me to want to be a gang member. Shortly after that, I picked up another case that ended up sending me to Campbell. Got released from there about 9 months later, got back out, went back to doing the same thing. I was placed on probation. I said, you know what, probation's not for me. I'm gonna run the streets. When they catch me, they catch me. Shortly after that, I was arrested and taken back to juvenile hall for a violation. At the age of 17, I picked up a case. I had a gang-related kidnap, gang-related carjacking, assault with a firearm, false imprisonment, and assault with a deadly weapon. I got tried as an adult when I was 17 years old. So right before I turned 18, I was placed into the county jail. You know, there was a lot of things that were running through my head. You know, being that I was only 17 years old and I'm in the county jail with grown men. You know, I told myself that I wasn't gonna be a victim. I wasn't gonna let nobody try to get over on me. So very quickly, yeah, I mean, as soon as anybody tried to disrespect to prove a point, I did what I had to do. Going into the prison system at the age of 18, I ended up doing 5 years. I got out at the age of 23, and that's when I met my wife. We shortly after that had a kid, but I still wasn't ready to change. At that point, I had decided to make my neighborhood a priority, even before my kids. I ended up catching a parole violation shortly after that, which led me to do another year flat in prison. Got out, still wasn't ready to change. Ended up getting taken back into custody, doing another year behind gang association. They had caught me in the neighborhood with 4 other gang members that were on parole. Took me back into custody. In 2008, I was being investigated by the FBI because I was selling drugs out here in North County. At that time, I was out of custody for 6 months. I didn't know that I was being surveillanced. I didn't know that I was being watched or even listening to my phone conversations. And in 2008, man, I was out at a casino. And as soon as we left the casino, I remember telling my homeboy, man, this vehicle behind us is following us. My homeboy told me, man, you're high. I told him I'm high, but I'm not tripping. I told him the next light that's red, run it. If it's a regular civilian, it's not gonna risk getting a ticket just to run a red light. The next 4 lights were green. The 5th light was red. As my homeboy, because he was the driver, ran the red light. Immediately, I noticed that the vehicle behind us ran its light, the light as well. Immediately, they put the sirens on. We decided to go on a high-speed chase. That high-speed chase ended up in led up to be a deadly accident. In 2008, I was pronounced dead. When they got to the scene, I was a DOA, which stands for dead on arrival. They tried to revive me. They tried to resuscitate me. They hit my heart with 5 cc's of Narcan. It didn't do nothing. They hit me with electric defibrillator. Still didn't do nothing. They stated in the report that at 5 minutes, 38 seconds, that Joseph Lopez was pronounced dead. The report states that 30 minutes later, they were going to put my body into a body bag, when they zipped it up to about my mid-torso, and my last gasp of air came out. They then hit my heart with 15 cc's of Narcan. It brought back it brought back an actual heartbeat. But for 3 months after that, I was in a coma. They kept telling my wife and my mom to just pull the plug, because if I came out of this, that I was going to be a burden to them. I probably wouldn't even remember them, and that I was going to have to learn how to walk and talk all over again. But man, for me, like, I know, you know what I mean, that it's by the grace of God that I'm even alive. And I didn't realize that until years after. Even with that situation where I was pronounced dead, still wasn't enough for me to want to change my life. You know, I remember when I got jumped into my neighborhood, I said, it's still life. Until I'm dead in a casket or doing 25 to life, this is what it's going to be. This last time around, I ended up doing 6 years in prison. My youngest, well, at that time, my middle child, she was a year old when I went in, and she was 7 when I got out. And man, there's, you know, we think that being in the gang or just doing what I want to do, it doesn't affect anybody else but ourselves. But man, you know, a sad reality, and it hit me hard when I came out this last time, because when I got out, like, my daughter, she didn't want anything to do with me. She would always push me to the side. And man, you know, there was nights where I went to sleep crying, just feeling that rejection of my own blood. You know, and it wasn't until after, months after, that, you know, I was able to sit down with my daughter. I just had to be patient with her and allow her to feel and what she was going through. And man, you know, she ended up telling me, like, you know, I don't know when's the next time you're going to be gone. And that right there, just like, you know, it was the icing on the cake. That, man, you know, changed my life completely. While I was in prison this last time, you know, I mentioned that I seen my dad sit there and be physical with my mother. And man, I had a realization, and I was like, man, like, how would I sit there and feel if my daughters were to not want nothing to do with me? And man, you know, it compelled me to get out of my comfort zone, and all the hate and all the animosity and frustration that I felt for my dad. Because at a very young age, I had told myself, when I get the opportunity to meet him face to face, I'm gonna take his life. You know, it compelled me to sit there and think about it. And man, you know, I wrote my dad a letter, and I expressed to him that I knew that he was only doing what he knew how to. I let him know that I didn't hold it against him. I told him I forgave him. And now I'm able to sit here, and if I want, like today, I could call my dad. We're able to sit there and have a conversation. I don't look at him anymore with hate and frustration. Man, when I got released, because I changed my life while I was in prison. I ended up dropping out from the prison gang in 2013. February 22nd was the day that I said, you know what, I'm done. I got out. I had a few conversations with individuals from my neighborhood, ran them down the situation, expressed to them that I've already done enough time. I want to be there for my kids and my family. And the response that I got from those individuals were, if that's what you're gonna do, then do it, and do it to the fullest. And I've been doing it ever since. I got released from prison November 17th, 2015. While I was in prison, I kept waking up with these dreams. The last 2 weeks of my incarceration, I was waking up with just mounds and mounds of kids before me. Didn't know what it meant, didn't understand it, but I was believing it in my heart. Within a week of me being released from prison, my wife, Lisbeth Lopez, which works for North County Lifeline, I was actually going to help her set up for a turkey giveaway when I ran into an individual named Anthony Ceja. He's the lead coordinator for JCCS, which stands for Juvenile Court and Community Schools. Me and him just struck up a conversation, and he said, man, he said, your testimony is very moving. He said, would you mind going on stage and sharing your testimony? He said, these people that we're working with are broken and hurting, and they need to hear a message of hope. And man, that was a transitional point for me in my life, because then I understood and I knew what those dreams were referring to. Immediately, I connected with Anthony Ceja, which he started reaching out to different agencies, different schools, different hospitals, so that I can go and share my testimony in front of youth, in front of psychologists. He then connected me with Todd and Dustin with the Respect Project. Started sharing my testimony and volunteering with them in 2015. Then in 2017, I started working with Oceanside Police Department. They have a program called OIP that works with youth that are not on gang probation, but are seeking that life. So they started having me work with their youth. Shortly after that, my program manager, Jimmy Figueroa, he was actually at one of the Respect Project's graduations, and he got at me. He's like, hey man, like, you're from Oceanside. He's like, we're about to be coming out with this new program, and we want to see if you want to come on board. And I was like, nah, you know what? Like, I'm cool, man. Like, I got a full-time job, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get paid for what I do, you know what I mean? Like, this for me was giving back to the community. But man, he was persistent, didn't let up, continued to keep asking me every time that he saw me. We exchanged numbers. He would send me texts. I finally said, you know what? After he told me the population of kids that we would be working with, I said, man, you know what? I'm gonna accept that. Made the decision to give my 2 weeks notice at my other job and started working with Resilience. Resilience is a program that works. I work for Vista Community Clinic, and Resilience is a program within VCC that works with at-risk youth that are on gang probation and gang documentation. So I was like, man, that was me. I remember when we went to Oceanside Police Department, and we went to their office to introduce to them our program. And I remember one of the cops saying, man, there's some of these kids that are 14, 15 years old that are just too far gone. There's no point in working with them. I said, hold up, wait a minute. Like, I remember when Oceanside Police Department was labeling me one of Oceanside's most violent and most dangerous gang member. When they said that I was a menace to society, I started to believe it and started to walk it out. And I told that officer, I said, unless that kid is dead, then there's no hope. But as long as he has life, there's an opportunity. We've been able to enroll 45 kids into our program. I want to say that we've been able to get 27 off probation successfully with their records sealed and terminated. And man, these are individuals that Oceanside Police Department was ready to give up on. And I know that feeling. There's some of our kids that, man, you know, it's a sad reality, but some of them are going to end up going to prison. Some of them are going to have to find out the hard way. Most of our kids are receptive. They want the change. Our program is a voluntary program, so they don't have to come. They won't get violated if they don't come. But man, we've had individuals that have already graduated the program already a year, and they're still continuing to come to our groups, continue to reach out in times of need. And you know, for me, it's like, man, like I tell the kids all the time, you know, my number's like magic, but only if you call it before you do something crazy or something stupid, because after the fact, like, I'm not a judge, I'm not a police officer, and I'm not your probation officer. So I don't have that discretion to sit there and be like, you know what, just let them go. And I tell the kids, like, man, like, you know, calling me at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, it's not an issue. I've had kids call me 12 o'clock midnight, wanting to cut off their ankle bracelet, but instead of them cutting it, they called me and another one of the mentors. We were able to go out there, talk with the kid, change his mind, and now this youth, he's off probation. He's getting ready to enroll and join the military. You know, this job can be the most rewarding job, but at the same time, it could be the most depressing work. And I say that because, man, you know, seeing these kids play Russian roulette with themselves, man, you know, and not having that guidance, not having someone to be able, an outlet to be able to share their emotions, whether they're positive or negative, not having that outlet, not having a father figure in their home, you know, makes it even more rough for these kids to just say, you know what, I'd rather turn to the gang. Having a mentor in their life, you know, for me, you know, I believe that, man, you know, without us being there, that, man, you know, these kids are going to continue to keep going back to the streets, continue to keep going back to the gang. You know, and it feels like, man, like it's a like it's a constant struggle, because we sit down with our kids, we mentor them, but then they have to go back home to reality. Sometimes they're there and it's an abusive relationship, or they're seeing their mom being alcoholic or their dad being alcoholic, or they have family members that are gang members. So we're competing with those families and trying to reduce the recidivism. But man, you know, that's pretty much my story. If there's any questions, feel free to ask them.
Thank you, Joseph. There's a few. I have a few questions. There's also a comment too that's just thanking you for sharing your story and being vulnerable and telling it like it is. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
A question for you is, wondering if you are on the gang injunction and if you can talk a little bit about that, if so, and what that meant for you.
Yes. So in 2003, I was in Calapat State Prison. When I got the news and I got a manila envelope that told me that I was going to be going back out to court, I thought I was going to be facing another case, but then they told me that it was going to be for a gang injunction. So in 2003, I was placed on a permanent gang injunction, and a gang injunction is pretty much a restraining order that prohibits me to be within 100 feet of another gang member, to be within 100 feet of my neighborhood. It prohibits me to wear anything that symbolizes a gang of terror. Like, so I was from the east side. I was from Pozole. So I couldn't wear anything with a P, anything that had 1620, anything that said Pozole, anything that said VPLS, or it was a violation. Still to this day, I'm still on the active gang injunction. I'm in the process right now of trying to be removed from it. And I have to have 5 years with no police contact. This November will be 5 years that I've been out of prison, that I haven't had any contact with law enforcement, besides me pulling them over.
Thanks, Joseph. Also, can you, how does being documented affect you? I know that the gang injunction is kind of one piece, and then the documentation is another. Can you talk a little bit about that?
The documentation, it labels me as a gang member. Documentation for the courts, they labeled me as a street terrorizer. Gang documentation, all they need is three times to document you, whether you're in a picture with somebody that's throwing up a gang sign, whether you're wearing a t-shirt that has an initial on it, or you get caught with gang members. That's all they need to be able to document you.
Okay, so, you know, if there's somebody, youth around, and he's hanging out, he or she's hanging out with someone, and maybe they're not not involved, but associated, they can still become documented from just by hanging out and associating and.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Let's see if is there any questions for Joseph? A question for you, Joseph, is what does resilience mean to you?
Resilience to me, man, means being able to bounce back from life's adversities. I always like to say that, man, you know, if I wasn't resilient, man, I'd be back in prison. I couldn't stay out for 5 months. Here I am going to be out for 5 years.
Yeah, thank you. What advice would you give to a youth listening right now who's currently in a gang but wants to get out, but might be scared about their safety or consequences?
And, you know, I would just tell them that, man, you know, you can't live your life in fear. As long as you continue to live your life in fear, you're not going to be able to move forward. I would sit there and tell that youth that, man, you know, explore your opportunities. There's more to life than just gangbanging. And allow them to know that, man, you know, you can talk about your feelings. You don't have to hold it in. You don't have to use a substance to suppress it. And, man, you know, just be there for that individual.
Great, thank you. How has your parenting changed now with your children?
And, you know, it's changed because, you know, now I don't put my neighborhood first. I put them first. It's allowed me to sit there and build relationships with my kids. And, you know, man, I don't have to sit there and be a parent over the phone through a glass. I can be a parent in person.
Next question is, can you share how you overcame substance use and how long did it take for you to be clean and sober?
Man, so, man, like, I remember when I made the decision to change my life. At this point, I was in just complete utter brokenness. I remember sitting in the cell in Mississippi and just having a pity party for myself, because at this point, my wife was ready to move on. Neither one of us had plans on getting back together. I started saying, like, what good of a father am I? What good of a son am I? And I sat there in that cell and I seriously contemplated suicide. I had a syringe full of heroin. I had just did a shot and I was loaded out of my mind. I sat there. For me, was my faith. I told God, if you're real, take this addiction from me. Because if you don't, I'm to the point where I'm ready to take my life. And in a complete second, I was completely sober, and I knew that that was God speaking to my heart. I had 5 grams of heroin in my pocket with a syringe full of dope. I got it and I flushed it down the toilet. That was February 22nd, 2013. And man, I seriously thought that I was going to go through some type of withdrawals, because I already had been using dope in prison for 3 years. And surprisingly, like, I didn't have any type of withdrawals. Man, and I'd be lying to you guys today if I sat here and said that, man, there's not times that I think about getting high, because there is, man. But what I do now, and it's exactly what I tell my youth, sit there and reach out to somebody, somebody who's not gonna encourage you to do what is wrong. Like, I have my support team that I call when there's times when I'm feeling enraged. There's times that I'm feeling like I want to get violent. There's times that I want to get high. But man, I have a team that I reach out to as well. And I don't tell the kids to do anything that I wouldn't do. So that's how I've been able to overcome substance abuse, by reaching out to other individuals that I know that's not going to encourage me to get high.
Great, thank you. And I think there's one more here. How's your relationship with your mother?
Man, my relationship with my mother is good. I just seen her day before yesterday. It was my brother's birthday. And man, I know that my mom was only doing what she was taught. You know what I mean? She was trying to raise a young man, being a single parent. Like I said in the beginning, I did hold a lot of resentment, a lot of hatred towards her. But now, man, that's my mom. I love her to death. And she only knew what she knew how to do.
Let's see. The years, hold on. What would you say to someone that doesn't know where to get the support? What would you suggest them to start?
Man. Reach out to community agencies. There's programs out there, there's individuals that have that lived experience. So I would just encourage them to reach out to whatever community agencies that are around their community.
Okay, thank you. I know we also have Officer Nelson on as a panelist, and he's law enforcement, and he is from the Respect Project. Does anybody have any law enforcement or any questions for Dustin? Or sorry, Officer Nelson. That either if there's any parents out there that are curious, or
maybe while some questions are coming in, I'll just introduce myself and elaborate a little bit about just Respect Project and what we're doing up here in North County. Is that okay, Alberta?
yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Hey, Deputy Dustin Nelson, been with the Sheriff's Department about 14 years. And love my job, love this career. It's been awesome to serve the community that I grew up in. I bounced around Vista, Oceanside my whole life, born and raised in Oceanside. Went to school at Cal State San Marcos, and now have an opportunity to serve the community in San Marcos. And so, you know, growing up, I had a good childhood growing up. I really just wanted to serve the people around me. I grew up in the church. I grew up in just a community of service, and always wanted to give back. And so when I joined law enforcement, it was really about that. It was really about getting to know the people in my community, and serving people. And I had a heart for young people, and it just got on. It just wore on my heart year after year of seeing kids go through the justice system, and even myself, you know, just handcuffing teenagers and taking them to juvenile hall. And yes, there's a job, and yes, you're making an arrest in a case, and you're doing your law enforcement duty. But it just was sad and unfortunate to see the pain of all of that. Whether it's a crime scene, a homicide, taking a kid to juvenile hall, seeing the pain with the families. We had to do something different. And so in 2014, we got together with a bunch of community agencies and said, hey, can we start a program? We need something in San Marcos for these kids that, you know, they're learning everything from, you know, a 17-year-old, you know, gangster on the street, right? And who with no father, and he doesn't know what he's doing. And he's telling this 13-year-old kid, you know, how to deal with life. And there had to be a better way to do it. And so we got together, 4 of us deputies, and we said, hey, let's start this program. Let's call it Respect Project. Respect is big on the street. And you'll hear these guys talk about respect and disrespect very frequently. And, you know, we just enjoyed it. We got these kids together. We said, let's play some sports. Let's feed them. Let's do some field trips. Let's have some fun, and also mentor them and teach them life skills. And that's so really, that it started off really small. We didn't know really what we were doing. We're not teachers. We're not social workers. But as the years have gone by, the Sheriff's Department really got behind our efforts. And now we've got a contract with North County Lifeline. Their staff has been incredible, helping our families, helping our students with additional support. We've got a new teen facility coming online next year that we'll be able to bring guys in 5 days a week and work with them and really give them all the access to the resources and support that they need to be successful. And so that's really what we're about, providing opportunities for all of our students to be successful. So it's been an honor. So thank you for having me on tonight, and I'll look forward to any questions if you have any.
Thank you. And I apologize for calling you officer. You're a deputy. I know that.
Not a problem.
Let's see if we have any questions. Give me one sec. And some might trickle through. Let me see.
And the difference, in case you're wondering out there, officer and deputy, people get that confused. A sheriff's deputy, you know, we work for the county, and an officer technically works for the city. We do the same job. We have the same functions. We go to the same police academies. We just have different logos, and they call us deputies instead of officers. But same job.
Thank you for the clarification. Not sure if this question is for doesn't look like I have anything right this sec, so something might come up. Okay. But you will be on the panel. If anybody has questions, I'll bring you back on.
I'll be here.
And I'm gonna actually introduce Angel. He was one of our presenters, and Angel has a little story of his own. He's gonna share a little bit about himself, and he's also, I'll let you introduce your spoken word, Angel, when you're ready.
Cool. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. You know, so real quick, I kind of like told my story in the beginning, just like a brief part of it. You know, saying that I was born, you know, in Mexico. So like, you know, being undocumented is kind of like hard, difficult to like navigate, you know, through life, you know, regardless of what it is. You know, but I feel like one of my biggest support systems, like regardless, was the Club Crown Heights after school program. I know I began going there ever since I was like 10 years old. You know, and Barbara and Pancho kind of like, you know, were the ones that kind of like raised me. You know, when I wasn't home, because my parents were at work. You know, I just go to the after school program, you know, because I'd be with all my friends, you know, just hanging out. They exposed us to like, you know, different scenes and stuff. I feel like that was something that was like really important. So I feel like I probably would have never like gone to a Padre game or like to a football game or to like Disneyland. You know, if it weren't for like Club Crown Heights. You know, they helped, you know, shape me as an individual as well, like helping me with my leadership skills, with my public speaking, which has been like, you know, very important in my life, not only because of like the career path that I chose, you know, but also because like, you know, it kind of got me to like become more open, because I was like a really like shy kid. I wouldn't talk to anyone, you know, that wasn't my homie growing up. But you know, they like by having them help me with my public speaking, you know, whether it was at the Crown Heights, you know, yearly fair that we had, the community resource fair, um, you know, at the North County Lifeline, you know, at annual events, you know, or speaking in front of the city council, you know, just telling them about like, you know, the strong support system that Club Crown Heights, you know, has done with the Crown Heights community. You know, I feel like that was like really important. It kind of like helped shape me a lot. Also, when it came to like, you know, encouraging myself to like write poetry, I began writing poetry when I was in college. You know, because I talked to like a lot of my friends, you know, that were still in the neighborhood. You know, when I was like so far away from them. You know, being in college, I was like I was by myself a lot. You know, so it gave me a lot of time to reflect. You know, and I get encouraged, like, you know, eventually through like the poetically people of color group that I joined, you know, just to like write poetry and like, you know, speak it, you know. So I just wanted to share a bit with you guys. And then, yeah, but okay, cool. Give me a second. So for my poetry, I paint the pictures of all that my eyes have seen. So as you picture me inside the misery of poverty, just know that our struggle is what pushed the man in me to conquer our insanity. So dear Lord, do ghetto children go to heaven? Please forgive our sins, because they're a mere reflection of the hell that we was raised in. You see, stealing was a constant thing when we had nothing to call our own. See, we come from broken homes, and even though the streets was cold, we was hopeless and had nowhere else to go. Brothers were ditching school and acting a fool, cracking the enemies and running from the police, hopping fences and dodging consequences. Yeah, we was troublesome, but nobody is perfect. We were just trying to survive in the crazy environment that we grew up in, because we just some good kids living in a bloody war, where bodies get chalked up and the air smells like gun smoke. The clock strikes 3. Red and blue lights illuminate the entire street. I hear the wailing of the ambulance, a siren scream, and feel the thundering vibrations on the walls from the drilling of the ghetto birds' wings. Shootout on division made it hard to sleep. Carros quemando llanta as the booming of the guns rang. Homies chiflando as it holla, this is Center Street. I'm holding my baby girl as the tears roll down her cheek. Consumed by the fear, her heart races out of control and her whole body's trembling. I kiss her on the forehead, try to put her at ease, praying that she don't become another victim of that neighborhood PTSD and forever be shell-shocked from the detonating melody that a gun sings. Boom. Guns booming, bodies flying, ghetto children dying, caskets dropping, moms crying, police and GSU harassing, home invasions. Ghetto children are criminalized and imprisoned, mass incarceration rather than education, ICE patrolling, families are being separated, loved ones are deported, our neighborhood is being gentrified, families are left homeless, while our children are roaming, while our parents are killing themselves, working 12 hours plus and double shifts in the worst conditions. But I guess that's just the way it be in the gutter that we live in, because we products of broken homes full of rats and roaches, dirty water with no electricity. But I guess that's just the way it be. And I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes we didn't have anything to eat because we're coming from a street where bullets, shells, and blood stains are splattered all over the concrete. So Lord, forgive me if I did wrong. Just understand that we were surrounded by drugs, dirty dollars, and dope fiends. Because we was troublesome ever since we popped out of our mama's womb. Growing up, didn't pay in mind of what we would amount to. But never did we understand why the Lord brought our families to this ghetto land. See, we was destined to end up either dead or in prison. Just another statistic. Because where we're from, you either banging the set or flipping bricks just to make that president. Crazy it seems that I could be the change. Product of the slums with a college education. Yes, I'm mad strange because I chose something different. See, I didn't have to bang the set to earn the homies' respect. They love my mindset because I hustle and motivate. Now they say they love what I do because it's prolific. With a message so powerful that it'll penetrate through the hearts of our ghetto children. Something like Pac, Nip, Cole, Lil G, and Kendrick. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Angel. So I do have some more questions. This is for you, Dustin, a couple of them. Are you planning to expand respect in other parts of the county?
Yeah, that is one of our visions and long-term goals, is to really take the model that we've developed in North County and take it to other parts, Santee, Imperial Beach, different areas. Unfortunately, with COVID, a lot of the budget issues with the state right now, a lot of those plans have been put on hold. But yeah, we're definitely trying to expand our services. But even if it's not Respect Project, we're working with a lot of other police agencies in the county of San Diego to implement juvenile outreach programs, specifically addressing the needs of high-risk youth and kids that are in and out of custody. So like for instance, Oceanside, that OYP program was modeled after Respect Project. And so you'll see San Diego Police Department doing some stuff in the community now. So even if it's not the Respect Project name, we're doing a lot of training with other agencies to develop their own programs.
Great, thank you. Can youth complete community service hours with the Respect Project?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did a presentation to, well, if it's court ordered, I'll explain there's kind of two different kinds. So we did a presentation to all the juvenile court judges and the probation department. So every hour that they spend doing Respect Project activities and coming to our groups actually count towards community service that's court ordered. So, and then as well as, you know, a lot of kids need community service for school or a project or something, and we'll count it towards that as well. But much like Joseph said, you know, what's similar with Resilience, which is a fantastic program as well. Respect Project is also voluntary. So, you know, sometimes kids, they just need the community service hours, but they don't really want to participate, or they're not interested in really transforming their life. Maybe it's not a good fit at the time. So yes, we'll do the community service, but they still have to want to participate in the program.
All right, one more question, thank you. For the Respect Project, is there any plans to begin programming for younger youth?
So we have two curriculums right now. We do a 7th and 8th grade and then a high school. We've discussed going a little younger than that. I think it would be helpful to have almost something in 5th grade, 4th and 5th before they kind of hit middle school. As of this point, it's just a staffing and more of a financial issue and logistics for us to be able to do something like that. There's, I guess I didn't discuss this. It's 2 deputies with a supervisor and an office person. So we don't have a ton of people that are actually on our staff to run all these other different kinds of programs. So we're trying to stay focused on kind of the original vision of Respect Project, which is more teens. But yes, it's been on our whiteboard for quite a while to maybe do something with the younger crowd as well.
Awesome. All right, I got a few more. They're trickling in. So
All right.
Give me one sec to shuffle through these a little bit. I'm thinking this is for you, and it is, how are you engaging youth during COVID?
Yeah, it's a challenge. Not being able to do groups and not being able to, you know, kind of put kids in our cars and go do field trips and, you know, do a lot of the things that we're used to doing. So North County Lifeline has been huge with this, but being able to do grocery deliveries and drop-offs, dropping off food, fresh produce. We've got another nonprofit down in San Diego that's been giving us hot meals that we pack our vans and just drive around to our families. And so we try and make it fun. We kind of use the food as an excuse to check in and do one-on-ones with the guys. So they'll come outside in the driveway and, we do the whole masks and 6 feet, but we'll play games out there. We'll do, beanbag toss and pass out food. This week specifically with school starting, we were able to drop off backpacks full of stuff, again, provided by North County Lifeline, as well as some of our staff in our jails. We have inmate counselors that did a school supply drive inside the custody facilities, and they were able to give us boxes and boxes of school supplies. So even though these kids are working at home, they still need papers and pens and pencils and rulers and stuff to do their work. So we were able to do that. So it's a lot of text messaging, Zoom calls, driving by, dropping things off. So we have to be very intentional in this time.
Awesome, thank you. This is for you also. Some youth and community members sometimes have a distrust with law enforcement. What has helped create a positive relationship with the youth and the community?
Yeah, it's a great question. You see it on TV, you read about it in the news. There's a lot of distrust and misunderstanding on both sides. And we admit that too, even in the law enforcement community. We sometimes don't trust the community and vice versa. And I think for us in Respect Project, we had to take a position of listening and humility, and so we try and come down to the level and meet with the community and just have those conversations. We don't do a lot of stuff in uniform. We don't drive around in police cars with all the gear and scare people. And we just try and let everybody know that we're human beings. And I think we interview a lot of kids. And to be honest, both Todd and I, Todd is my coworker, both he and I are white and we're law enforcement. And a lot of these kids, they struggle with that in the beginning. But if they give us a chance and they see that, we're just honest individuals that are trying to give them a second shot, a second chance. Most of those guys, after about 4, 6, 8 weeks, they start to lower their guard a little bit. And then by the end of our program, we're doing one-on-ones with them. We're taking them on field trips. We're going on hikes. Prior to COVID, we're taking kids to Padre baseball games, to military bases. We're taking guys to job interviews. And so I think when they see our level of desire, that we're not getting anything in return, this whole program is for them. And I think when they start to see that you're just an honest guy trying to help them, a lot of that distrust kind of fades away.
Great, thank you. I just have a couple questions, I think, for Joseph. Maybe someone else could answer as well. And then I have a couple comments for Angel. Angel, your inspiration. And let's see. And the question, well, this might be for Respect as well. Do you help kids that are locked up? That could be, I think, a resilience question or Respect question.
Yeah, I think even Joseph could help with that as well. We never write our students off. And by that, I mean that just because he's in custody, and maybe made a poor decision in the moment, we still visit them. We still offer them services and resources in there. We have other community providers as well that do juvenile hall visits. And so we'll reach out to them and say, hey, when you're down there on Friday, can you talk to so-and-so? And so we have to continue that relationship. I think that's what's huge, right? These guys think that the neighborhood and the homies are going to care about them and write to them and visit them, and they don't. And so they feel alone, they feel abandoned down there. Some of their parents can't get down there to even see them or do visits. We've had a lot of issues with that. So I think just to see a familiar face and let them know, hey man, even though you messed up, dude, we're here and we want to see you make it. And that relationship there is huge. When they get back out and transition into the community, they already have somebody that they know cares about them.
Yeah, thank you. Joseph, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so for resilience, I'm one of the main youth mentors that whenever our kids get taken into custody, I have full access into every juvenile detention facility that they have. So usually the next day, I'm there. to sit down with them. And like Dustin said, a lot of times, you know what I mean, their families aren't able to drive up there due to transportation, due to being undocumented. They're just having the fear of maybe even getting deported because they're going to see their kids. They'd rather not go. So usually I'm one of the first faces that they see besides the officers there at juvenile hall. And then I'm also hired on by the public defender's office to work with their youth that are in custody.
That's great to hear. Thank you. I'm going to read this other question. Are most gangs males only? Not much mentioned about females. So maybe we could talk a little bit about that real quick. I don't know who wants to. Joseph, do you want to address that, or?
Yeah, I can.
Angel? Okay.
No, there's male gang members as well as female gang members. But man, there's a lot fewer females, but there are female gang members.
What role do the females play in the gang? Maybe you could touch a little bit on that.
Man, it can be flirting with another rival gang member, to set them up and lure them into a position where then other gang members can sit there and attack them. They're there to move drugs. It just all depends on what the gang is doing at the time.
Yeah, I'll speak to that too. Just you know, having worked gang investigations and worked on the street, a lot of the gang members will give, like Joseph was saying briefly, will give their drugs, their guns, weapons to a girl, thinking that we're less likely to search them. A lot of the young ladies may not be on probation. They may not be known to law enforcement. And so maybe we are less likely. Maybe they don't have what we call a fourth waiver or their Fourth Amendment waiver. So we can't necessarily just start digging into their purse and looking around. So a lot of times the young girls are recruited just to hang out and hold stuff. And like Joseph was saying, there's some nefarious purpose for them being there, which it's unfortunate because a lot of times the girl will get stuck with the charge because, you know, maybe the male that's with her says, yeah, it's not mine, you know, because he doesn't want to go back to jail or doesn't want to get violated. And so it's unfortunate when that happens.
Yeah, great, thank you. All right, well, we're getting towards the end here. There is one comment that I would like to read. This is for Angel. If I can find it. Oh, here we go. So just wanted to say thank you, Angel. It's Armando and Rosa. Your testimony was on point. God bless, aka Snoops. And I have some more. Let's see. Thank you, Lifeline, Oceanside, Loca here. We're happy to see some other people we knew out there in the streets having a life after gang, successful and giving back to our community. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. Let's see. I think might be, unless I missed one. Oh, there was one more. I think this might be for Joseph. And give me one. Here it is. How involved, I believe this is for Joseph. How involved were your parents in your upcoming? Unless that's for Angel, maybe.
I could answer that.
Sure.
I feel like as for me, my parents were like heavily involved. I mean, yeah, they might have been like always at work, but they always try to like support me in everything that I did. I know they mentioned they're like my dad told me once, he's like, yeah, we might not be able to like read English or, you know, help you out with anything, but they're like, we're here for like, you know, to support you morally. And they were always like my fallback system. You know, you know, I'm happy to have that strong support system from my mom and dad, you know, because I mean they did that. I mean, like they mentioned, like, you know, they don't have a lot, but they try to, you know, give me like you know, all they could. And I feel like that was like one of the reasons why like I didn't end up like joining like a gang. You know, I saw our struggles, you know, and the adversities that we went through, you know, growing up as a kid. So, you know, that's why I ended up doing, you know, what I wanted to do. You know, I ended up going to school, you know, not only for my family, you know, but to show the younger kids in the neighborhood, you know, that there is, you know, a possibility for them to do something, you know, outside of the neighborhood, you know, and just like try to create that role model that, you know, a lot of us didn't have, growing up, that male role model. You know, I know a lot of us had like a Pancho, you know, as a male role model, you know, a positive role model. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, Barb and Pancho are kind of like, you know, family to me too. You know, Pancho's like an older brother, and then Barb's like, it's my grandma Boba right there. So, you know, they helped me a lot too. You know, if it was my parents, and you know, they were that support system as well.
Great, thank you. All right, well, we're pretty much to the end of our presentation. Appreciate everybody's participation and all the questions. There will be a survey that will be sent out after the webinar. If you could please take some time to answer the questions for us, it'll really help us for the future and future presentations. And also tomorrow we will share the recording with you. And if you would like to, you know, send it to someone else or utilize it, feel free to. Thank you to Liz and Angel and Joseph and Dustin for taking the time to present. We really appreciate it, and everyone who's out there listening, thank you. That concludes our presentation for tonight. Thank you.